There it is. Good morning. Good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Let's do this. Co-streaming live here on YouTube and over on Clapper for those of you that are just over TikTok. Uh, might I introduce you? And again, this could just be my experience and that not happen for you at all. And I'm totally sorry that you do not get to enjoy this. But one of the things that TikTok pissing me off has done is forced me onto other applications. Skylight, Clapper, what's the one that Isaac the Third owns? There's a fan base. Okay. Here's what I have discovered the joy of that I want to share with you that I just wish you could see what I see. Like you can't duplicate my fucking Clapper feed. Okay? But it's Latino and Southeast Asian gag comedy. And you know, think like funny annoying teenager. Like it's comedy, it's funny, it's a different vibe. But yeah, that's Clapper for me. So we also have a collection of people that'll watch us when we're live over here too. Okay, so every morning when we start this bad boy up, we play "War" by Edwin Starr, and we share the actual music video with that good-looking man. Okay. I think it kind of goes without saying that the story of the day is right here. Okay. And I think this is the best link too. So this is the link to Human Rights First. Okay. Human Rights First is an organization. Okay. So let's do this first. Let's talk about what is Human Rights First. Established in 1978, Human Rights First mission is to ensure that the United States is a global leader on human rights. The organization works in the United States and abroad to promote respect for human rights and the rule of law. This is from their website. Okay. One of the benefits of one of the benefits of being in the YouTube live chat is that I'll post the links to shit and you can go in there and click on it and go yourself and go, hot damn, they really did it. Just like we fucking said was going to happen. We called it Justice's Waiting Room. We explained what the rules of the game were. We said, shut up. Sun Tzu, Art of War, never interrupt your opponent while they're making a mistake. And what have I said? Tell me, what have I said for the last fucking week? Hey, I'm not actually, I don't know what the crime is. That's how fucked up. That's how fucked up this shit is with Donald Trump and his obsession with deportation. And I've sat here and told you I'm not a lawyer. I literally was in my last year of school to get a bachelor's degree from Purdue University and a degree in analytics, and I fucking dropped out because I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get a degree in political science. I think I'm gonna take the LSAT. I think I'm gonna become a lawyer because I don't even understand when you don't have a warrant. You're not in a uniform. You show up at someone's house, ransack the place, kidnap somebody, fly them out of the country that night, Somebody said hit the like button or get restrained on a chair and you have to watch 80s commercials for 30 minutes. Oh my god. You guys are funny. So, we can even like click the button. Iverson v. Trump administration is what it's called. Okay. Did you hear my voice crack for absolutely no reason? There's the fucking lawsuit there in the chat. Okay. So here I'm gonna make a little post on Blue Sky, by the way. I don't know if I've said this before, but if we're not already friends on social media, understand like son of a bitch. It's just right. Sorry, that screen. Yeah, I know. Started. For those of you that sorry, my brain is all over the place. For those of you that are sitting here like I've been listening to this dude talk for like 6 months about this shit, and I'll be goddamned. You can find me on Blue Sky. I've only very recently even had, and obviously, I think that this lawsuit filing is going to be the spark that sort of lights the kindling that has been set that is sort of against the Trump administration, and I see it as like a multi-layered sort of dominoes effect where there are just so many, and not even in it really that many people. One of the things I want to maintain is that they're not that popular, and well, they're obviously not well liked. And one of the things that I've kind of had in the back of my mind this whole time is I've thought, I played the Mafia games. So bear with me, I'm a gamer. I'm going to talk about video games. I played the Mafia games. And one of the things that they play up a lot is loyalty, like a lot. Like a lot. Like it has a ton to do with being able to maintain control of a area as think of like a gang leader in the 50s and 60s. They were feeding fucking kids, right? So one of the things that and again flashbacks galore, just even opening up the book that is the Mafia series, by the way. Fantastic detail on American history, the presence of gangs. I encourage people to fucking video game as a disconnect from reality, but understand the absolute sheer fucking brilliance that has been going into storytelling in modern fucking video games that would blow your like Mafia. Listen to me when I tell you this. Mafia 3, if you haven't been radicalized already as a white person, if you haven't already been shaken to your fucking core and have to fucking rebuild your person from that, play Mafia 3 for a minute. Just you don't even have to play the whole fucking game. Just get to the part where I'm not even going to spoil that shit. Nope. People are awful. And from what I've read, lots of the depictions in Mafia 3 are of actual events. And you can fucking look. You don't even want to talk to people about Mississippi, Louisiana, and fucking Alabama in the early 1900s. Okay? Yeah. Yep. Mafia 3. If you are not already radicalized, prepare to be radicalized. And I'd also argue if it's difficult for me because faith is transcendent for some people. Like some people, faith is like their whole fucking thing and it like emanates from you. And like I can't deny that, but like for some people it's not really that important, right? And I wanted to say that right before I say Far Cry. So if you are like religious, I just want to make sure that you understand that like when people make video games, they're artists. This is not real life. And so I could see where if I say Far Cry and I've heard this shit before is the reason I preface all that with that. The Mafia series and Far Cry specifically are pretty sacrilegious, and I wouldn't say that sacrilegious. Like a their take on religion on a whole is sort of jarring if you are. So I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, so I'm kind of breaking up the excitement by talking about video games and how they talk about like highly sensitive issues. You got to play all of them. You got to play all of them. You got to play all the Far Cry series. Appreciate that group. They were outstanding. Far Cry and Mafia series. The reason I talk about a lot Mafia series is because remember Donald Trump is a tribal chieftain, and his village is very small. They have golden toilets. He eats McDonald's. So remember the people that swoop in here at the end and try to be there for Don. I can assure you there aren't. He's running out. He's running out of shit. There's a reason Elon had to go lick his wounds, man. I tried to tell you that was a fatal blow. And hey, we've been talking about how can you participate in this resistance. Uh, your Papa got a brand new bag. Like I got some new toys for you. Okay. Uh, if you have an investment vehicle, meaning like if your employer handles your retirement, you need to alter that. You need to get away from this. You need to get your money into a fucking savings account at a credit union. Stat. If you think that what is happening in the U.S. Stock exchange, for example, if you think this is short-lived and that we're America and we're gonna fucking come back from this shit, hell no, you cannot move fast enough to save the stock market. I've said it before. I'll say it the fuck again. Healthcare fucking executive pay is down 50%. Do you want to talk about what is leading to a collapse of an industry? The lack of leadership within the healthcare industry. How is that fucking happening, Jared? Well, all these fucking healthcare companies are basically having to deny service and be competitively denying service along with other healthcare companies just to get a CEO some profit. Just to get him some money in his pocket. People gotta die. You wonder why we never mourned Brian Thompson, not 1 minute. So, breathe. Remember, control what you can control. Get 8 hours of sleep. You probably need to take a nap. You need to hydrate. You need to eat right. You need to exercise. You need to stay ready and stop thinking about getting ready and just stay ready. Because remember that I told you this. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. So Donald Trump gets sued. The ICC's involved. It's looking pretty grim. Look for something fucking crazy to happen. Think about what was going on yesterday. The FAA, literally Newark, for the record, for those of you who live in the United States, Newark, unsafe, literally unsafe to fly, because of their shortage on air traffic controllers. And I want to make sure that I tell you how this all feels deeply fucking personal. So if you wonder how I'm able to get on here every day and do this shit with gas, this shit feels like it's aimed at me. Do you understand? Like I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. I went to Purdue to be a pilot. And an air traffic controller was my backup plan. And the reason that didn't happen is because the FAA went on a hiring freeze because of the economy crashing. On or around like I think it was 2006 to 2010, don't call me on this. But long story short, I never got an offer to be an air traffic controller until I was too old for the job. Dead ass. And I had gone and taken all the tests and everything, the hearing tests, gone to Great Lakes, done all that stuff. Yes, that was one of the things I was gonna say, uh, Danielle. I want to make sure everyone knows that Newark being unsafe to fly. Just understand that, I was explaining to my wife the other day. You're in like multiple places airspace at once. So understand, let's just do Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio, and I'm not even trying to be real about it. Okay? So I'm just saying both of those cities have centers that overlap. Does that make sense? So and it's a radar, right? So it's a circle. So big 300-mile circle starting in Indianapolis, big 300-mile circle in Columbus, Ohio. When they're 300 miles apart, means like they have huge overlapping areas, right? So in any given area, Newark, New Jersey, you're probably, when you look up, you're probably in like three or four different places airspace. They're all monitoring that, right? Do you remember why when all the UFOs, not UFOs, but all the fucking drones were going off on the East Coast and shit, and people were wondering what was going on, and I wasn't panicked? Is because I was like, yo, I have guys I went to college with that work for the missile defense system. They could take anything down at any time from anywhere. If it's in the air and it has an N and a number behind that's something you buy. That's like a plain license plate. Okay? And if it is hovering in like the same spot, it has to have a permit to do that. And if it's flying around, it has to have a plan that it turned in and it was approved beforehand. And I know that there's a percentage chance that it was like hobbyists and shit, but just know that like a lot of government testing or a lot of putting it up there and making it or like a regular thing and sort of that using that to ease it into society. Be not shocked. Be not shocked at the eyes and ears. Don't get too curious. That's kind of what I want to make sure we do is we calm the fuck down. I know that, yes, I am aware. So if I just saw the numbers jump a little bit. If you are just getting here, I am aware that the Trump regime is being sued on behalf of ICC trial attorney Eric Iverson. Yes. Yes. On my day off. So that affects like DC, LaGuardia, right? Like there's uh I can think of Philly, all of those being like super close together and having a lot of overlapping airspace. In Newark, it just affects all those other airports too, is all I'm saying. So don't think I'm not remember this. Of all the people that you've ever met in your life, I am the most aware of the consequences of fear mongering, right? Of what happens if I sit here and I sow fear, right? And so I've made it a point to like, you can't always just sit and look at all of this horrible shit based on, if you were living your life based on Donald Trump's executive orders, you are going to be a sad motherfucker, bro. Know that like the Supreme Court has said fuck you on like 88% of that shit, and the shit that they've gone through, when you actually read it, you're like, what is this? What the fuck is this guy doing? Nothing. Stone nothing. I want to point out they were literally celebrating his 100 days in office. I think they were celebrating the fact that he got 100 days in office and didn't get knocked off, right? The bottom line is if you are sitting around all beat up because of what this regime is putting out, you're not understanding. It's a soap opera. Donald Trump wants to open Alcatraz. Donald Trump watched The Rock recently with Nicolas Cage from '96. Like, come on. He literally moved U.S. military assets in position to destabilize Iran's nuclear enrichment program. That's the fucking plot of Top Gun Maverick. What is happening? This guy's in charge? There's a reason we make the big dollars, right? But damn, it feels good to be a gangster, by the way. I think I called this. Did I not? Is this not the song of the day? Is this not the song of the day? Wait, where did my chat go? Anyway, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Yeah, I mean, we sat here and talked about like the I mean, I look at this smile. I fucking told you. I fucking told you. We called it Justice's Waiting Room. Like, there's all this shit. When you look back on this, like, damn, we was right. Like, we was right about a lot of shit. We're about like we get vilified every day. That's one of the things my wife asked me the other day. She's like, you know what I noticed? I was like, what? She's like, you're doing really good at work. So you're like constantly closing deals and like making money, right? And she was like, you don't ask for money on your show anymore. And I was like, well, I haven't. I haven't asked for money on my show. And she said, why not? Like we're still broke. And I was like, nah, this isn't the time to cash in, right? And turn capitalist, right? Thank you, S&M. Exactly. The President of the United States. Remember this meme that I'm creating in your mind that I've turned into a cartoon in my mind. So in my mind, there's this gold base bedroom set in the middle of in the apex position in a master bedroom, right? Uh, Super white fucking bed sheets and blanket, and in the dead center of that sits, all 6'3". I'm thinking he's 350. Okay, he's 6 foot, 350 pound, uh, baby, adult, but baby, Donald J. Trump. But in this instance, in this cartoon that I created in my mind, he's President Mick Poopy Pants. I think I forgot that part the other day, and I think that really like helps drive home the fucking like the disrespect. And remember, he has um, brass knuckles on, but instead of them being dangerous, it's just the McDonald's golden arches. And the character, the way it's written is obsessed with McDonald's, um, does drugs, but it looks like a baby. But it's an adult, but it looks like a baby. And in this case, in the picture I'm trying to paint in your brain, he's just I haven't quite figured out what he's sucking on. But out of the corner of the baby's eye comes Elonia in a maid outfit, wig and makeup on and everything, old school over the ear headset, strand coming down, tape deck, listening to I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. What is Elon Musk? What music is he listening to? I don't know. The fuck? I don't know what those nerds listen to. Okay? Yeah, the super white sheets, okay? But know that, he's the baby adult, but baby Donald Trump sitting in the middle of those sheets is sitting atop like a bunch of towels because he's about to fucking explosively shit himself. Okay. And then out of the corner of his eye comes the maid. And so think about that. Remember that I've told you, hey, you know what I've kind of figured out? I've kind of figured out that the people that are on Donald Trump's team are the people that have helped him clean himself up. Dead ass. And the people that he fucking hates are the people that have like that he knows for a fact if he was laying on the ground and he'd shit himself, they'd just walk the fuck by, right? And there's like obviously there's like a growing list of people. I mean, there was always a big list of people, you know. I think the urban philosopher Eminem said it the best, right? Like I wouldn't if you were on fire, I would not piss on you to put you out. Like there are now a growing list of people. Like I've tried to explain people. I've tried to explain to people you cannot be disloyal like Donald Trump has been disloyal. That's why I was thinking about mafia, by the way, when we were talking about how to be cool tutorial. But yeah. YouTube chat's priceless, man. Thank you guys. Good morning over here on Clapper. I know there's a few people just listening to us. We're kind of in a good mood. We're kind of in a good mood because we called it Justice's Waiting Room. And less than 24 hours ago, Human Rights First filed a lawsuit on behalf of Eric Iverson, who is a U.S. Army veteran, and I think he's the only trial attorney for the ICC. Mhm. Some of the brightest legal minds in the world. Remember that late in the Kamala Harris campaign, we found out that there were like 1,500 of the brightest attorneys in the world were like willing to work for free to help, right? I want to make sure that you keep your eyes on Democracy Docket and Mark Elias. Yeah. Hey, when think about what we did and how we got to this spot right here. We didn't go look for our truth. We sought the news. We said what is really happening. Stay in the control what you can control mind frame. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Don't fucking celebrate. It's day 1, right? It just understand that there's going to be a negative event. I'm half a mind to alert the authorities right fucking now. If you think right fucking now Donald Trump gets a lawsuit filed against him for the ICC and that motherfucker doesn't do some shit or order a hit on somebody, he's a tribal chieftain. He is a fucking gang. He's a gang warlord. Like everything that he's done is like a bad guy in a well in a. I mean, he would be a poorly written bad guy in terms of video games. Like he'd be kind of like a lame boss. He's not that powerful. He just screams a lot and shits himself. Like what the fuck? And he can't read. This guy, like we work for that. has dementia, can't read, shits himself, screams at everyone. Literally, did you see him lash? Yes, Debs, you're in my head. Did you see him lash out in that interview and the way he talked to that person, where he was like, I didn't even know who you were. I got you this fucking interview. I picked you. I chose you. Like, people work for that. Like, I hope. And the fucked up thing is, he has been notorious for not paying his fucking people. I can't. The one thing I can't wrap my mind around is how the fuck do you go to work for that? And I understand the whole thought process that there was nothing else to fucking do. Been there, done that. Okay. Been there, done that. But yeah, I'm going to share these links again so we can, again, get one day closer to dancing on this motherfucker's grave. Okay? I'm sorry I'm sharing the stream. I'm not. I think I'm gonna start doing song of the day. Sorry about that, kids. Appreciate y'all hanging out this morning. Again, as I've said, and is gonna be like the most pervasive fucking story today, is Human Rights First, which is a human rights organization founded in 1978, has filed a lawsuit on behalf of U.S. citizen ICC trial attorney Eric Iverson, who's also a U.S. Army. They found the right person, right? That can ultimately lead to the demise of Donald Trump. So one of the things I want to do while I'm dancing on this motherfucker's grave is saying, hey, know that there will be backlash and that this is severe. This is a big deal. And it doesn't even matter. I'm not even that interested in the context of the lawsuit. Does that make sense to everyone? I hope that everyone understands. Like, I'm not even going to read very far into this. I'm going to move on and go to other news. Okay? Yep. President McPoopy Pants. Okay? And remember, Felonia in the maid outfit on like porcelain white skin, with the wig on, clearly on stimulants, right? And Captain Ketamine is Elon Musk, right? And Elon Musk in real life, if you really think about who Elon is. Elon also screams at everybody. Okay. But Elon Musk has a little more of an outburst issue than Donald Trump does. Okay, Donald Trump is a little more of a just a dick. Elon is prone to just like out of left field. Okay, so think about how these characters are written, and then remember, obviously, it's a severe drug issue. So the two characters are constantly um, doing drugs together. Yeah. What, you think they're not doing drugs together? That would be so inefficient. I mean, though, if you really thought about what they were getting done, it does make sense that they were trying to hide it from each other. What a weird fucking situation for those two, huh? Huh. So remember, protest, boycott, strike non-violently. These people are not even fucking worth calling them anything other than piss babies. Um, this entire regime. I want to see the results of Executive Order 13848. I want to know what can I do, right? I have nothing. I have nothing. But what can I do? I want to see the results of Executive Order 13848. I want to know what happened with that election. Now that I see I'm the kind of person, I'm a gamer, right? And so here's what I do. Um I wait to take the potion that makes me deal a whole bunch of damage until I see the shield break in the game so that I'm not wasting, right, all my good stuff when he's protected, right? And in this instance, where, from what I understand, the Human Rights First is suing the Trump administration on behalf of Eric Iverson, U.S. Army veteran and ICC trial attorney, for violating. I believe there's, and again, I don't even want to get into too much detail about it. I'm not even that interested. I see it more as a crack in the armor. I hate to gamify shit, but I think of him in context of like a poorly written video game boss now, like a mafia boss. Okay. Bob Bob offered to send me a really sweet gift. I'm just hesitant because nobody's ever offered to send me anything except for money when I really needed it when our furnace blew out. I will never forget that people supported me that are part of this community that have not been around because shit's been pretty dark and shit is still pretty dark. Okay. So, want to make sure we point you out to the new subreddit, Suppress News. So, if you're wondering, oh, what's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. When I go to Suppress News, I'm like, oh, yeah, the shit that they don't show on TV. Yeah, CC. Yeah, stay up with Democracy Docket. Know that when it all comes down to it, Donald Trump's a fucking loser. Like, it's gonna suck for a long time for a lot of people. And it's his fucking fault. And you can blame the media, the Democrats, the Republicans, but it all, like, you can't be running businesses poorly and succeeding without taking money, like dark money. Like, nobody would lend to you. There's a reason that he's here, right? His dad was his seed money, and he's a bad businessman, man. And when you need that fix, right? He's clearly like a drug addict, right? You need that fucking fix. You'll do whatever it takes. And dude, there are some people that are just like, we'll loan you the money, but they work for the KGB. And they give you the nickname Krasnov. And you've worked for them for 40 plus years. I'm sorry it took so long. I mean, he has been in office less than 6 months, and he's already being sued on behalf of a human rights organization. President McPoopy Pants, Captain Ketamine, and then SecDef, Pete Hegseth, Keg's Breath, / Whiskey Leaks. I understand that he was a major. I've decided to call him Major Drinking Problem. And then, obviously, I'm still working on the characters for like Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi. I'm gonna need some help. Okay, the ladies, I'm gonna need help. Yeah, there's a reason I said I'm not gonna read too much into the lawsuit because I see it more as a crack in the armor than anything else. It shows me that there's a will if there's a way, right? Thanks, Patty. I thought you'd appreciate it. I think I'm doing pretty good work here for somebody. Somebody is gonna make themselves a cartoon and make themselves a heap of cash, and one day they'll come to me and be like, "I based it on the characters because it's just funny as hell." President McPoopy Pants. Think about it. He's an adult, but a baby, but an adult, but a baby, right? And so like he really wants McDonald's. He also has a addiction to stimulants. So I think one of the problems that we're going to have is depicting a child like an adult but a child um doing hard drugs or like snorting fucking drugs and shit. I think people have a problem with that. And then again, the whole personification of Captain Ketamine. I want to maintain the maid outfit and the wig and the pearly white skin, right? Spot the fuck on, I'm telling you. And so they just do a lot of drugs together. And then one of the things that I'm less certain about, the more I realize that Donald Trump's basically a pile of goo, is like there can't be like an actual gulp, I'm about to throw up sexual relationship between them. Like that's not reasonable. Somebody said good morning in the chat. They're the do drugs together and lay around. I want to point out that The Rock, a movie came out in 1996, involves Alcatraz, and I'm willing to bet you he's seen it recently. And I just want somebody in the media to ask him. Character's a skunk. I kind of get it. I was thinking it's Two Face, but it's Tulsi Gabbard, but it's Two Face, like from the Batman villain. because she's a Israeli asset. I think that was actually pretty good. She's Tulsi Gabbard, but she's Two Face, but she's Tulsi Gabbard. Uh, somebody said she's a skunk. Yes, if she needed a character, she could just be a skunk. And then I don't know why I think about Pam Bondi as a rabbit, like a drunken, slutty Jessica Rabbit. I mean, not Jessica Rabbit. Cruella Deville. Mm-hmm. Supposed to be a movie maker. You just said I'm going. He's nuts. I'm telling you, he moved U.S. military assets in position to destroy Iran's nuclear enrichment program, and I'm like, that's the plot of Top Gun Maverick. What are we talking about? Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason why Elon's getting out of government is because Tesla is in an unrecoverable position. Tesla, as we've been calling it here. Hey, listen, one of the things that I realized, yeah, yeah. Somebody on Clapper said it's her teeth, Pam Bondi's teeth, that makes me see her as a rabbit. We got to start talking about divesting in Palantir and looking into your retirement and seeing if it's invested in Palantir and getting your money away from it. And yeah, after he had a conversation with John Vought, he decided to put 100% tariffs on American movies. And again, it's I've told you, I've told you before. It's actually the cartoon's coming together. So it's a baby, an adult, but a baby, Donald Trump. But he just screams a lot and he wants McDonald's and he does hard drugs. And again, I think that's a hard sell. And then which again, if you wondered what's going on and what is wrong with the Trumps, they have this like exorbitant lifestyle that they like to put out to other people. But if there's anything that says fucking that screams white trash, it's the obsession with McDonald's. And I can say that as someone who like grew up a McDonald's fan. What the fuck? There was a point a long fucking time ago when there was a decision to be made. And it was, are you willing to do this shit to your body or are you off it altogether? And I don't know how many of you know this, but like that was like 15 years ago when McDonald's kind of became a non-starter. I think maybe not 15 years ago, but 10 years ago for sure. The cartoon will be America made, so at least won't get a tariff. It's funny. Make sure again, as we've said, at the very least, get rid of Facebook threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, and get Amazon off your phone. Stop supporting these people before they turn you into one of their slaves, which is literally what they're trying to do. Yeah, that was one of the big beefs with McDonald's. Yeah, that parade in Russia. Yeah, that parade in Russia is gonna have a problem because all of Moscow's fucking airports are shut down. They just had a massive drone attack just days before their big parade. And hey, I want to make sure I get the message out here. And this is stuff you can look up. Okay. The U.S. Army birthday is June 14th, established 1775. So know that June 14th, 1775 means June 14th, 2025 is 250 years for the U.S. Army. Understand that Donald Trump is trying to shoehorn himself and make the U.S. Army 250th birthday parade about himself. I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump had demanded a military parade. Okay. Got told no. It's like he demanded troops on the border, and there's like less than 20,000 people there. Okay. Donald Trump is trying to co opt the U.S. Army birthday and any associated parades. Okay. And make it into a celebration of him. Okay. The DUI hire. And a lot of people are sort of like removing Elon from the equation, and I want to make sure that we do not do that. Yeah. But yeah, Donald Trump, also a draft dodger, is trying to make the U.S. Army 250th uh, birthday and any parade action associated. He's trying to make it about him. I want to make sure I get on top of that nice and early and say, hey, uh, most likely, yeah, I'm guessing. I wonder what day of the week that is. Because I've known the military to be crafty about holidays. What's June 14th? Saturday? I don't know, man. That's a weekend day? Hmm. I don't know how I feel about it. I know that there's probably a Tesla takeover protest, right? Oh, and remember, we're in the middle of this, not really in the middle of this, but in this May Day movement USA. Okay. Hey, just because the ICC filed a lawsuit, that should embolden you, right? The fact that things are actually happening, that there's actually legal action being taken against this administration is at least this, again, sort of a start. Sorry, it looks like I have shit in my beard. It's at least a start. Stop picking your brain. Sorry. Oh, it's fucking frustrating. It's getting to the part where it hurts because the scab is smaller than the wound because it's healing because I haven't picked it. But it is funny if you look, it's like all but the wound is picked. I just try not to bleed. Need to put lotion on my hands. That's one of the things I was telling my boss that I learned after like pretty bad burns on my hands. You gotta take care of yourself better. And again, that's just coming from somebody that constantly preaches control what you can control. That just means like wash your hands more, put lotion on, you know? Gabby, what are you saying village people for? Sorry, I got a phone call. I didn't even know that was. National No Kings Parade on that day, on June 14th. Hmm. Hmm. Hey, one of the things that I want to make sure that I continue to point out is how um, politicians pander to sections of a population and use them to get votes, and then when they get into office, they don't care about that shit anymore. I want to make sure that that you understand that that's part of the reason that I formed the American Socialist Party. Is I don't think that once you get into office you should turn coat and take up another party. I think that should be like against your party's rules and just not something we do here. But more importantly, like, I can't stop thinking about the fact that there are 54 elected Democrats, part of a Blue Dog Caucus, that they vote conservatively and consistently vote with this Trump regime. I want to continue to point out that the Democrats voted enough to confirm Donald Trump's cabinet without much pushback. And I want to point out that like they could have held all these appointments up and dug their heels in here, and they didn't. And they kind of did let Donald Trump try to do whatever he wants. And I'm gonna sit here and on the one half, I'm gonna say, it's an issue when people are getting elected to oppose people like Donald Trump and they're ultimately on the same side, right? And you need when you have what I suspect will be the collapse of the Republican Party. Donald Trump falters again. That's what I want out of this ICC lawsuit is I want it to be the shot that breaks his armor. I'm a video gamer. Is what I'm kind of seeing him as, right? And I think when he fails and falters and all the fallout happens around him, that the MAGA sort of group turns, tuck tails, runs and hides, please dear God go to prison, and that there's not much left afterward, right? And so you have what I perceive as like a dead party. And they see it too, for the record. the Republicans know that they're deeply unpopular. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has said if we don't reverse course on a bunch of policy decisions, it'll spell our disaster. This is like the dumbest box of rocks in the entire fucking planet is saying like, hey, we're gonna get our ass kicked in midterms if we don't fucking like start governing and fucking trying to deny FEMA aid to fuck red states and shit, right? Um, and as I've said, there's a reason I want to form the American Socialist Party that stands for equality, right? Remember, when you look up the definition of socialism, the second word, the first term you come to that's a head scratcher is egalitarian, which just means pro equality in modern terms. And then when you think about, remember, I've told you this, the socialist economic theory says things like rent, interest, and taxes are derivative of your labor and should be eliminated or reduced. I can get with that. The political theory of socialism, well, in order to have a political theory, you have to have a foundation. Our foundation's in unions, right? And we've said one of the things that we've learned about behavior is that people don't rise to the occasion. They fall to their level of competence. You do whatever you're good at. So if you've got someone that's an effective union leader, right? They're a good public speaker. They have a load of experience and confidence, and they are working hard to get their I almost said co-conspirators, but their coworkers better wages and benefits, and they've been at those negotiating tables. Hey, that's a person that would make a great political candidate. Now, if they only had some foundational principles about them that were part of what is driving them, right? And understand that my desire for socialism, my want for people to have universal healthcare, education, income, and housing, of there being equality, of there being the removal of this two-tier justice system we live in, right? Of there being term limits for Supreme Court justices and there being an enforceable code of ethics within the Supreme Court system, and then there actually being some punishment for the people that like cheat in these elections. I actually think that shit's still added. And again, I see it as the death of the Republican Party, and then it puts the United States in a uniparty position, which is actually worse than having a well paid for, well funded conservative party. I think that the problem is going to be um, republicanism, conservatism will lead us to our doom, and I don't know that replacing that with democratic leadership is necessarily gonna stop the bleeding. If you get the allegory, climate change is still like a huge deal, and it's gonna take a little more than elections. There's a reason I've sat here and said, you know, trees are not absorbing as much carbon monoxide as they used to. You need to grow a garden. Um, and again, one of the things that I want to make sure that I tell other people, one of the things I've learned is don't just plant shit in your yard. One of the things that I do, because I have trees, is I gather limbs like year round. And what you do is you sort of wall off an area or box off a big area and layer that with sticks and limbs. And then as you layer those sticks and stems, you raise the level of the sort of like container that you're building around those sticks and limbs. And then eventually you'll get fill dirt and fill in the cracks. And then you'll get top soil, and that's what you're planting in, right? But those decaying sticks for years and years and years and years will help your plants grow. Hmm. Yeah, I'm. I know you may not have ever heard that before, but There's a reason I've said grow a garden, put up solar panels. It's to put more money. Obviously it's going to cost some money to do those things, but you immediately start putting more money in your pocket monthly, right? Is because I don't even think we know. Well, I mean, it's top the stuff that you buy, the bagged soil. Yeah, the bagged dark soil with the noticeable additives in it. Yeah, is most conducive to growing, but also is a protective layer. Hmm. It's kind of what's actually under the top is what's going to be most conducive to growing. Remember, all those sticks that you use as the foundational base of your garden is what is ultimately going to provide I believe it's substrate and prostrate is what that stuff is called. Hmm. At least that's what I'm going to do in beds. Mhm. And I'm just trying to figure out what seeds to use because apparently you're supposed to only plant stuff that will is like indigenous. I get into indigenous to where you live. Like you're not supposed to grow stuff you're not supposed to grow. It's like not good. I need to do something. But yeah, I want to just point out when Democrats like Cuomo was a same-sex marriage champion, and then once he gets elected, you don't care about that shit anymore, right? Oh, you're supposed to line your garden with lime and a little chicken wire. And my mom had to put wire around the tomatoes, just like wrap it. Hmm. Put like an extra fencing around it, basically. And you'd still see a squirrel climb on top of the inner fence and be leaned out all the way over your tomatoes. And yes, my dad had a 22 and shot squirrels, but mostly shot them and they ran away. Didn't try to kill them. Nick, just give them a nick and try to get them off your land because squirrels are otherwise pretty useful. They do a good job of spreading seed. Yeah. See, the thing about deer is deer will eat constantly, and bears, oh my gosh, bears eat constantly. Don't have much experience with like bears or groundhogs, but deer and squirrels for sure. So yeah, I'd say we've had an interesting last week or so, right? We've got articles of impeachment filed, lawsuits filed by human rights organization. We apparently you could get Bondi disbarred. We need to make sure we're passing word on that, right? Not a fenced-in yard next to woods. Oh, it's tough. So, did you ever wonder what the data looked like on Donald Trump calling people low IQ? Particularly interesting article. And again, I want to make sure we talk about the fact that we spent a pretty good amount of time today talking about human rights first. A human rights organization founded in the United States in 1978 sued this Trump administration here in the last 24 hours. What for what? Again, I am not a lawyer, but what I expect are the violation of the rights of a U.S. citizen, U.S. Army veteran, and current ICC trial attorney. Um, what I say his name is Eric. Is it? Oh, this is Bledsoe. That feels weird. Iverson. Okay. So know that just because that happened doesn't mean like he's gonna get arrested today, tried tomorrow, and hung on Sunday. That's not how any of this shit works. So again, I see is it more like it, the shot that broke the armor, right? From what I gather, this is not the ICC suing Donald Trump. Yeah. Yeah, CC, what they're trying to prevent is mass death. What they're trying to do, as I've said, is this is an exercise in deprogramming. And what they've tried to do is have everybody disown all their Looney Tune, Trumper uh, friends and relatives, okay? And try to focus more on local media, right? And building communities as a means. It's all de-escalation. I remember I spotted this from 10,000 feet and said, hey, this is an exercise in de-escalation. They are trying to keep us from fighting each other, and the way they did that is they let Donald J. Trump become president, knowing that he gave him the playbook beforehand. He gave up Project 2025 beforehand. He knew that was part of what was going on, and they planned around it. And ultimately, he's a fucking loser, and that's all he's ever fucking done is lose. And that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna fucking lose. It's that piercing blow. It's the shot that made him lower his shield. You know what I mean? That sets him up for the Stephen Miller. Oh yeah. Yeah. His cartoon character is a worm, I decided. He's either a worm or a cigarette. He looks like how cigarettes smell. Stephen Miller. He looks like he smells like stale cigarettes. Gas station coffee in a styrofoam cup. Scratch off ticket. rolled up wasn't a winner, clearly. Yes, and there's a reason I said think about everything that's going on and who it's impacting and the things that Donald Trump has been doing outside of the Venezuelan community and the trans community. Think about all the people that voted for him whose retirement has been destroyed. Think about all the people who voted for him had their social security payments came in late. How about all the people that voted for him learning their little hospital or clinic's going to close, right? So Donald Trump has turned on the very people that voted for him and got him into power, as has Elon Musk. Okay. Again, they become more unlikable as the days go by. And again, I want to point out Donald Trump's likability was a lot higher the two other times that somebody tried to take his life. And what I've said all this time is that you can't murder Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You cannot you cannot martyr them. If you martyr them, their movement survives. If they just fall off or fall out, that's exactly what tends to happen. They made Stephen Miller a vampire. Stephen Miller looks like depression. But yeah, the thing about this regime, it takes me through the Mafia series where this regime is very disloyal, and disloyal characters have explosive sort of endings typically, as they should be. As SNL and Kimmel should be. They should be going hard at this regime because they can't stand it. Donald Trump can't stand it when you make fun of him. What's by the way, what is this shit? Yeah. I can't understand. Oh, you know what we need to make sure that we talk about today? Um, so there was this thing going around for a while where it was like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris never called for a ceasefire in Gaza. And many people made their think pieces, and I suffered through them. And I did a brief Google search, and there were multiple instances on video where both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris called for a ceasefire, organized for a ceasefire, and ultimately it's Donald Trump's relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu that prevented this from going off during the Biden administration. And so again, to those people that say that Kamala Harris lost this election because of her stance on Gaza, I just want to say you're an idiot. That's not true at all. The data does not back that up. One of us is a data scientist or data analyst. The other just wants to find an excuse, right? People saying they think that people stayed home and that's why Donald Trump is president. And I would like to point out that as far as the math says, Donald Trump is president because of about 150,000 total votes across 5 states, and that there are 4.5 million votes that have been held up. Excuse me, I have to cough. Ha ha! They all look like they've wiped Donald Trump's ass. Yeah. My favorite thing is reading stories saying the world's reversing course on Trump. Here's the article from Salon. Yeah. Donald Trump won this election by about 150,000 votes, and there are 4.5 million votes that got held up by technicalities. So consider that in addition to that, he cheated, he, he interfered, right? And understand, as I said, within 90 days before the election, a social media firm did an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's social media followings and found that more than 90% of them were fake. So think about that. And think about also Executive Order 13848, the prosecution of election crimes document, and how they know that in tight elections, um, there's a higher likelihood of election fraud. And I'm not saying like things are going to come back and anything's going to be undone. But again, until the results of Executive Order 13848 come out, until it's said that there's inconclusive evidence and nothing that ultimately is going to happen, um, as we've said, hopefully it involves a quick trip to The Hague in June. If the world knows what's good for it, because as I've said, if you think I'm not trying not to make a big deal about it and pound the table too hard and be like I fucking told you so, it's not the ICC suing Donald Trump. It's a human rights organization, okay, suing the Trump regime on behalf of ICC trial attorney Eric Iverson. So you're going to see ICC and Trump and think Trump v. ICC. And I just want to make sure, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not what that is. And understand that it's not for genocide. You know what I mean? It's not for crimes against humanity. Okay? And so I don't want to beat my chest too hard. As I've said, I see it as like it doesn't need to connect. It just needs to be a glancing blow. And I think that he spins and he falters and he's just not built for this internationally. He may be able to just yell over people in the United States, but they'll just turn your fucking mic off in international court, you know? But yeah, I think apparently student loan payments are restarting, but I would be kind of wary on that because one of the things I haven't done is I haven't heard anything. So I've seen a lot of people are saying they're contacting their student loan handlers, and they're being told, stand by, we don't really know what's going on. So again, it's about infrastructure. And, Pete Buttigieg fucking harped on Donald Trump the first time about Donald Trump trying to make things happen without the proper infrastructure led to policy failure. That was his first term. That was part of the reason he was so goddamn upset. And it's like he didn't learn anything in the last 4 years. It's not like he was fucking trying to learn shit. But yeah, we'll make sure we say that. Hey, there's part of the reason he's doing this here. Lack of infrastructure. Remember, they can't even collect the tariffs, right? He's gonna. Again, there's gonna be order of escalation. I expect there to be action against. That Iverson is in danger, right? Because I imagine people like Vladimir Putin are gonna want to protect people like Donald Trump, right? But hey, if this is the rock that makes the boulder move and starts its descent, then hey, I'm for that. Okay, so we'll do our little cartwheel on their remember that this is not a left to right thing. This is a rich versus poor thing. At the end of this all, that no one I know over the course of my life called themselves a Republican or a Democrat. No one I know. None of the people that I've ever been friends with ever in my whole life. I'm a Democrat. I am a Republican. It never happened. And I want to continue to point out that during this Trump regime, people aren't Republican. They're MAGA. And again, I've said, he cannot be murdered. He must just die. Death death has to take him. Because if death doesn't take him and an immortal human takes him, he is martyred. And now his theory becomes pervasive. Now what he did has legs and wheels, as it were, canonically, and now he becomes more powerful in death. I'm fearful. I'm wary. I'm saying, like, I know uh people are going to suffer because he suffers, because that's how Donald Trump is. And there's a reason that things have gone the way they've gone, and it's to minimize suffering. I've been saying it this whole time. You didn't see me make a bunch of anti-MAGA content. That's not my content. I'm not fantasizing about conversations with MAGA. I'm not interested. You're brainwashed. You are a subject of Russian propaganda. You will be deprogrammed. It's not I that needs radicalized. I am properly fucking radicalized. I could fucking do nothing, or I could found the American Socialist Party. I could point out that democracy is only as good as it holds. And instead of giving all our money to these fucking billionaires, how about we invest in ourselves? How about we put our pride aside and everybody gets universal health care, education, income, and housing? And that's part of the draw of living in the United States, is that the taxes that you pay directly support social safety nets for all. And I think there are 600 fucking people in the United States that are highly educated and empathetic, that hear what I'm saying and are like, I can embody that. I can do that as an elected official. I could say I met this guy as a result of this regime, this Marine that sat here and told you, like, I did the research. It's actually not that big. It's not like your life will change that much. You'll still work your stupid job. It's just when you go to the doctor, you don't have to pay. And when you go to college, you don't have to pay. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, as somebody that wants everybody to have housing, that I'm going to say your rent's going to be zero. But what I would love to see is structured rent maximums. That, when I talk to someone and they tell me they pay $3,000 a month or more in rent, unacceptable. That's all I'm saying. I want to see you under a couple $1,000s in rent, right? And I think that there should be like rent control. I'm not a capitalist. I'm not looking to capitalize, right? And I don't want to see other people be that way either, right? And again, I live in a culture, in a society that teaches you to do the opposite of what I teach, what I preach, right? The whole try not to get too wrapped up in what's going on around you and understand that you just got to control what you can control. And largely, we're talking about get 8 hours of sleep, drink water, eat right, exercise, stay awake, aware, and alive. Try to learn some shit, try to be useful to your community, right? And again, I think of it when I think of myself, I don't think of myself as a socialist. Does that make sense? Even though again, I'm saying like I don't know people that call themselves Democrats or Republicans, right? As the founder of the American Socialist Party, that if you asked me, are you a Democrat or Republican, I would tell you that I'm a socialist. I still don't identify as that because I'm a person. How I feel politically is based on lots of research. Um, Primarily, I see union membership has been decreasing for decades, and I think that's a negative trend. And that as someone that isn't a capitalist, we have to reverse that trend, right? You have to increase union membership to curtail corporate uh, corruption. And who better to lead us politically than people that were fighting corporate corruption and trying to get their subordinates healthcare and wages, right? And so there's logic behind my thought process. And when you think about Democrats and Republicans having a conversation about their platform and saying, I wanted to make socialism digestible for other people. So I did lots of research on like etymology and words and how to break things down and make it understandable for people. And I literally had to explain socialism to little kids. Like when you see the Pride Parade and you're happy for those people, that's pro equality. When you see someone get justice and they don't look like you, that's equality. You being happy to seeing someone else uh, live a life without being bothered, that's equality. But mostly, I want to see, like I said, the removal of this two-tier justice system we live in that seems to not apply to the wealthy, only applies to the poor. So on that, we've been on here way too long. I've got to get out of here. Have a good rest of your day. How long have we been here? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's only a little over 90 minutes. But anyway, appreciate you all. Well, I just think like it's one of the things that I don't do enough is grandstand, right? Like sit on my own shit and spin. Um, But I do, like I said, I meant what I said there. Like I never identified like I never told someone like I'm a Democrat or Republican. And as someone that's like founding a political party, I still am like, I'm not wearing a socialist fucking t-shirt. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for socialist images. It's not pervasive in my brain. Like we made the Cobra and I was like that's cool. Now we just need it like professionally done and then let other people have it and let them use it and make whatever they want, right? Because if I was capitalizing on that, then I would be like trying to set up shop and make money. And that's one of the things that always bothers me, right? People build a platform doing whatever the fuck it is that they're doing, and then they always are trying to capitalize. And for me, it's just like, I don't see it that way at all. And so it's no wonder that people are like, "Oh, that's weird." Like he's not going to try to make money off a spot. No, I'm gonna try to change the fucking world. Watch. That's like way harder. You know what I mean? Like it's easy. It's easy to capitalize. I could have just turned on the creator fund, started fucking shilling. I could have fucking done that. I turned it down many times. Mostly, what will happen though is I'll get banned, and then they'll ask me, and I'm like, "You fucking assholes! You asked me to join your program when I'm not eligible because I'm in violation of fucking terms of service." What a bunch of assholes. But like I said, that's one of the things I'm trying to actively show other people is like, look, you have someone that shows up every fucking day for 90 goddamn minutes and faces the fucking music, shows you the fucking news, right? Whether I'm like party to it or not, right? Whether it supports me or not, supports my endeavors or not, right? I try to be pretty objective, right? You don't see me talking about like Indiana, right? My local community shit. You know what I mean? You don't see that. That would be me making it about me, right? Largely, we try and talk about what story is going to impact like the widest audience possible, right? With the idea of knowing if you're right enough, if you're just talking about things that are actually fucking happening enough and you're showing up every fucking day, eventually people would just be drawn to that. Because they're like, you could be going anywhere else and doing anything else with your time, but you've stuck this out, right? And eventually, when you see me turn the corner, when I go from never asking for money to asking for money, it will not be. I'm one of those people, I have a hard time shilling if it's not for like a good cause. I can't just like shill for nothing. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to use whatever little shit platform I have to like pull from you, pull out of your wallet, like it has to be worth every penny up front. You know, and there's a reason that I haven't been asking for money and saying I'm trying to get to $1,000. I don't want to ask for money until all the ducks are in a row. And it's like when you push this button, that goes into that bank account. And then all we're trying to do are hit goals. And then it's announcement. Hey, we've raised 10,000. We've raised 20. We've raised 30, right? Hey, we're looking for candidates who want to run. The money that we're raising is to help you run for office. Do you need a fucking computer? Is that what's really keeping you from running for office, right? Do you need office space? Hey, let us fucking help you with that. And you work with people who have worked in politics, have helped staff for political party. And there's people in this country, for the record, one of the things I've realized, there's people whose politics are paperweights. And that's not who you're trying to attract. The reality is that there's no capitalizing in socialism, and so that's going to absolutely keep people from wanting to be around. Is because I'm not offering anyone a job, I'm not promising anyone money or position of power. That's not how it works. That's not how it really works. It may have worked for Donald Trump, but on this planet, in my playthrough, remember, I don't know where she is if she's here today. Kat, she hasn't been around much lately, but I did see her this week. But she and I worked together to produce our logo. I want to make sure that I didn't do it myself. that somebody else did the work. I worked with them regardless of their capability to produce this without using AI. So again, and then like I said, when you start the Socialist Party, there can be no cost to join it, right? And then when you create the logos, you can't capitalize on that. You have to give it away first. Once you start producing and trying to sell stuff, now you're a business. Now we're beyond like a charity or 501c3 or a service org or whatever. You become a political party. It's primarily fucking fundraising. Cat is here. Hey, what's up, Cat? Right? There was a reason. There was a reason to do that. Is because there's pathways to get the same thing, but you pay for it, right? Then you're just participating in capitalism, right? But that would not be socialist, right? You pay for it. You ask your audience to just produce it and give it to you, and you have nothing to do with the process. Well, that's not socialist either. Part of socialism is the community building, right? Is the connecting with someone in your community that has similar beliefs and thoughts as you, that is cheering you on when you're being successful and you're cheering them on when they're being successful. You're able to collaborate and produce something and then come to the mutual understanding that we're not intending to capitalize off this. If we were to undertake this with that knowledge, I wouldn't have just sought out a partner. I would have gone to like an artist and paid them for their time, right? But what I wanted to be, and it's a simple, it's more of like a what it embodies than what actually happened, what we actually produced. It's more about what it represents, right? The what Kat was able to produce based on our conversation is an example, and again, not of my, but of what socialism does. And it takes someone that has maybe like the know-how but not the skill, right? And it combines the skill with the know-how to produce something, right? Without the forced ideology of we must now capitalize on this. And so first of all, shout out to Kat for not emailing me back and being like, all right, where's my $200? I'm gonna need you to start fucking putting that on a t-shirt, right? um so yeah, make sure you guys know, like, I appreciate you. You know, I don't have a means of showing you, and I think that's part of the reason some of our like mods left, because they needed me to capitalize so that I could juice the mods, right? But again, I just don't think that would be very socialist to me, and I think like your behavior has to kind of match what you're trying to do to others, right? Thought I heard footsteps. Anyway, let me get out of here. Love y'all. Have a good day. Hell yeah, Cat.